You will discover as you follow the course on problem solving that the subject is complex. However well prepared we are for problem solving, there is always an element of unknown. Although planning and structuring will help make the problem solving process more likely to be successful, good judgment and an element of good luck will ultimately determine whether problem solving was a success. This is often due to either problems not being recognized or being recognized but not dealt with appropriate measures. Solving a problem involves a certain amount of risk. This risk needs to be weighed up against not solving the problem. The process of problem solving can at first blush appear relatively simple. The difficulty is defined, facts and evidence are collected and analyzed, and the solution is agreed. However, because imperfect people make decisions, the entire process is fraught with traps that can lead to serious errors in judgment. Problem solving is not to be taken lightly. It is a step-by-step process that, when properly sequenced and followed, should produce solid results. Unskilled problem solvers will often misinterpret the issues, attempting to solve symptoms rather than root causes, and makes the situation more confusing than it has to be. It is important for individuals to understand that effective problem solving often consumes more time than most people are willing to invest. Rather than go about it properly, many just want to react and deal with the problem quickly. However, the time invested to thoroughly investigate and solve a problem more often than not produces a more successful solution, and happier employees and customers and colleagues and life. Individuals can easily fall into a number of common problem-solving traps. The resulting consequences are often faulty decisions based on poorly framed questions, inadequate analysis, and a host of other factors. Rather than solve anything, these traps often complicate the problem, making it more difficult to resolve. This being said, let's see how we can prevent problem-solving traps. Mind traps can seriously derail the problem-solving process, but fortunately, there are a variety of strategies you can use to counteract their effects. To counteract the trap of initial ideas, you should explore different sources and perspectives. By broadening your horizons, you are more likely to find the real roots of a problem and to generate a wider range of possible solutions. You should follow this guideline whenever you solve a problem, but it's especially important during the earliest steps of the problem-solving models. To minimize the trap of defending prior choices, you should follow these guidelines. First, give your goals priority. Focus on achieving a particular goal rather than becoming attached to a particular decision or process. Get a neutral opinion. Consult someone who does not have a vested interest in your prior decisions. Accept your mistakes, remembering that everybody makes mistakes sometimes and that it's better to move on than to hold on to past decisions. What do you think? How have you dealt with the mind traps of initial ideas and defending prior choices in a problem-solving context? What counter-strategies have worked for you? And how did you recognize that you were falling into these traps? Did it happen to you? How did using a counter-strategy get the problem-solving process back on track, if this happened? Now, ready to see if you have the right response in dealing with mind traps? Let's try this exercise. You've already formed a preference for a particular solution to a problem. What do you think are ways to avoid the mind trap of selecting information that supports your initial bias? Stop the video and answer to this question. Welcome back. As usual, let's see the correct answers. A. This option is correct. Asking yourself and others open questions such as what do you think of this idea is a good way to get opinions that balance out your initial bias. B. This option is incorrect. If you focus on gathering information only about the option you already favor, the results will give you a selective vision only of this option. C. This option is also incorrect. Someone who's already chosen a particular alternative isn't likely to contradict your choice of the same alternative, so you're likely just to gather support for your own initial bias. The last option is correct. Seeking out information that contradicts your initial view will help you overcome bias in the data you gather. To avoid selecting supporting information, you should ask yourself and others open questions such as "What are your thoughts on this solution?" rather than asking leading questions such as "Why should I be keen about this solution?" Another good strategy is to examine counter-arguments and information that conflicts with your own views. These are recommended responses. You are free to explore and find more that work better for you. One way to fight the trap of assumptions is to identify what your assumptions are and check their validity. Take the position of an outsider and ask basic questions to challenge your own assumptions, like "Why do I think this way?" or "Why do we do things like this?" Another strategy is to focus on data. Investigate hard data rather than relying on mental simplifications or falling victim to personal bias. You can also change the way you view the problem, restate the problem in new terms, or break it down into its simplest components. To protect yourself from the trap of conformity, shield yourself from social influence and persuasion. Remember that the popular opinion is not always correct. You should also be willing to defend well-founded viewpoints, even if they are unpopular. Practice these strategies, and in time you will get better. At the beginning, of course, you need to make an effort, but with time, these approaches will become habits, good problem-solving habits. One more exercise for this lesson. Read through each mind trap and find the guideline that best matches it. You can write your answers down and compare them with those that we are going to discuss together. Each mind trap matches to one guideline. Stop the video until you find your answers and document your response. Okay, I know you already have the right answers, but just in case, let's compare. Give your goals priority. Prioritizing your goals, getting objective opinions from others, and accepting your mistakes can help you let go of prior decisions and move on constructively. So this response is suitable for defending prior choices. Check the validity of preconceived notions. Checking the validity of your assumptions, focusing on objective data, and experimenting with new perspectives on a problem can all help you avoid relying on assumptions. Shield yourself from social influence. Shielding yourself from social influence and being willing to defend well-founded viewpoints will protect you from conforming with a consensus view in cases where this view isn't the best or most accurate. Explore different sources. Accessing a wider range of information makes it more likely that you will find the real roots of a problem and generate a wider range of possible solutions without being overly influenced by your initial ideas. Ask open questions. Asking open questions and examining counter-arguments can help you overcome bias in the way you select relevant information about the problem and its possible solutions. Now you know the problem-solving model, and we have seen its detailed steps and how to avoid issues with its application in your professional and personal life. Something to mention here. First, if you discover that you are looking at several related problems, then prioritize which ones you should address first. Note the difference between important and urgent problems. Often, what we consider to be important problems to consider are really just urgent problems. Important problems deserve more attention. For example, if you are continually answering urgent phone calls, then you've probably got a more important problem, and that's to design a system that screens and prioritizes your phone calls. Second, understand your role in the problem. Your role in the problem can greatly influence how you perceive the role of others. For example, if you are very stressed out, it will probably look like others are too, or you may resort too quickly to blaming and reprimanding others. Or you are feeling very guilty about your role in the problem and you may ignore the accountabilities of others. Next, let's see the other type of problem-solving traps, the process traps.